Welcome everybody. I'm Jason Slezak. I'm here with Trip Foreman and the one and only Alex Lewis-Hughes.
Thank you.
Who's also our head judge and amazing kiteboard shredder. You're fresh off the slick, right? Out there?
Yep, I'm just out there getting at it.
How was it today?
It was good, man. Really good. Some good vibes going down in the park. A lot of tight riding happening, so
everybody seems to be super hyped and like really getting out there early to get as much riding time as they can.
I think everyone's going pretty hard before the comp, getting some practice in. So.
Nice.
Alex, what's your background in in the sport of kiteboarding and in judging? You know, because a lot of times you hear, not specifically in this event, but in other events, like, oh, the judges don't really know what they're talking about. Like, what are your credentials to put you, in the head judge seat?
Well, I initially started judging because I wasn't happy with judging that was happening in our national competitions. It'd always just be like a random group of people, and I didn't feel like they were putting enough effort into making like a good outcome for everyone. So I kind of just took a hit and signed up to be a judge, and that was back in, I don't even know now, 2009 or 10 or something. And then after that I was friends with Toby Bromwich, our photographer, and he was working with the Freestyle World Tour, and I started judging that from, I think it was 2010 onwards. And yeah, I did that for a number of years, and recently we started 3 or so years ago, we started the KPL, the Kicker Slider Tour. So I progressed from the freestyle, and now I'm on to doing that full time. So yeah.
And so you're not a judge, like you're not a land judge. I mean, I've seen you out in the slick every single day. You're getting actually as much riding in as the riders are getting, yeah?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my fill.
And is that like with judging all these contests around the world, is that do you go to these different locations and you're out there riding with all the riders at these locations, like in the warm-ups and the free ride sessions and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm riding all the time. Anytime it's windy and I can ride and I'm not filming, I'm out there with the guys seeing what's happening. So I think I have a good eye to, see the finer details of whether someone's, correctly executed something, or whether they've done it, to that proper degree that deserves a good score.
Right.
So, you obviously spend time on the water. You've had a lot of history in judging other events, and, even like you said, it went from freestyle to the slider kicker tour. So you have multiple disciplines under your belt as well. What do you think, how do you judge an event like this one particularly that's all park, in like sort of the brief overview of what sort of brings it all together in the judging side to come to a result?
I would say that these park kind of events, which is like a much more like board sport mentality, they're always kind of focusing on the execution foremost, I guess. So that's the major aspect that as a judge you're really looking at, make sure the execution's super on point. And then after that, the more technical aspects come into play when those execution points are kind of in line.
Right,
if someone's equal,
everybody is.
Exactly.
Right.
If the level's all equal on the execution, then you're looking at like, oh, was this guy slightly more technical than the other guy? But we're always relying on making sure that execution is like the foremost thing, because I think that as a board sport,
oh, for sure,
and what we're doing, that is like the most important thing.
Yeah, execution, technicality, and then the style come into it as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're all the afterthoughts, but I mean, style is also really subjective, I think.
Right, but it's like each person sort of has their way of doing it, and that brings it all to sort of the end result. I
think it just needs to be like coherent what someone's doing. It needs to look like they're trying to do it how they've done it. They haven't just sort of forced it or rushed it, or it doesn't look kind of weird. So or accidentally done it. I mean, the style thing is like everyone's got their own little bit on top, so you can't. I mean, that can't play into it too much, but definitely like trick selection and stuff, which is sort of a bit of style. That
100%.
That plays into it for sure.
We've been talking with some of the riders, about what's new for this year, out on the water, and a lot of them are coming back to us and saying it's definitely increasing the amplitude off the kickers. It's focusing on like the fine details of their technique. You know, what do you think it's going to take this year to win the event?
I don't know. That's a really hard question. Without judging the event already, I'm not sure. But like you say, I think that everyone's stepping it up so much with like their execution and the technical aspect, which is already at like a super high level, that you've just got to take it big, I think, to really stand out amongst everyone else. Like adding a bit more of a spin isn't really going to make a difference anymore. It's like you've got to just go big, I think, and then you're always kind of on top of the pack, you know. I think we see that with Brandon Scheid. He always, you know, whatever he's doing, it's just like he just goes massive, and it's like, well, how can you not score that well?
Yeah, executed well.
Exactly.
Technique is there, and then when the eyes get big, and you're just like, oh yeah, that's the one.
So if he puts those all together with the technical and going big, it's like, it's hard not to give it to someone like that.
Nice.
It's crazy to see what that does, you know, not only for his riding, like if he just goes massive on one kicker hit, like how much more energized he is for his next run, but like how it just takes the whole field to that next level as well, just because like what, you know, the wow factor out of it.
For sure. I think like people see it, it goes massive, and they're like, oh, I have to do something now. I can't do a half-assed hit. I got to go huge, you know.
Pushes the entire field, you know, everybody
It's
in
cool,
that
though.
heat, everybody on the water. So
I mean, even riding with him's like that. If you're just riding normally, if you're not really giving it your all, and you see him going massive just on a session, you're like, oh,
like, okay, time to step
yeah, I
it
better
up.
do something here. I'm just moseying around.
Well, you know, you spend time on the water, like you said, even today before the event, you spend all the time being out there on the boat with the judges and really seeing every hit that goes down. And then, you know, you're around now for a handful of different Triple S's over the years. But personally, what's your favorite part of the event, just as a whole, coming here?
I don't know. I think it's always the community aspect of these kind of events for me. Like, you get to see all the people that you like hanging out with and just having a good time, you know, having a drink, seeing some. I mean, we have the best live acts of any kiteboarding event in the whole world. So it's like.
Are you talking about the riders or the bands?
No, the band. Like, I couldn't ever believe I'd go to a kiteboarding event and there'd be like Mixmaster Mike and the Roots and shit like that. I mean, for me, that's crazy. So.
Well, thank you again for coming back.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, we look forward to, you know, we know you put in a lot of hard work this week, so hopefully you can get some riding time and some rest in between now and then, and it'll all go down.
Yeah.
Awesome, Alex. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thanks. Cheers.
That was some good content. Don't leave us. Stay tuned. SSInvitational.com will be updating the website daily, hourly, sleeves every minute maybe.
You just have to keep hitting refresh.
Just
repeatedly.
keep hitting refresh. Tune in, SSInvitational.com. That's where you get the gear. That's where you find out more about Carolina Brewery Triple S Lager, post-session lager. That is perfect for sending it. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.